two, one. It's hilarious. Oh, creatives, community, kind folks out there. Hello. Welcome to RPG with DBJ. Ooh, a little distracted here. Had a little scatological humor just before we started. Also, welcome classmates and collegiates as well to the channel. We're live on YouTube, live streaming. We're definitely talking about tabletop RPGs, but if you prefer to just listen in using audio as well, please go over to Fantasy Grounds College. Join the Discord, and then just slide on down the left, go down to the boiler room, and you'll see everyone there hanging out if you just wish to listen in to the channel. And also, of course, if you're over at Fantasy Grounds College, you might want to learn a little bit about Fantasy Grounds, the virtual tabletop. So join one of the classes. But what we do here on this channel is we take a theme. We talk all week about one particular subject, pretty generally, and then we divide it down each day. Monster Monday, we have a Discord Tuesday, World Building Wednesday, and today one of my favorites is Third Pillar Thursday. Kind of have to describe it a little bit. The third pillar of tabletop gaming is exploration, with the first and second pillar being combat and social interaction, respectively. And this week we've been talking about reskinning things in the tabletop, in our tabletop content. Reskinning things, renaming them, replacing things. Monster Monday, we talked about origins. On Tuesday, we went all over the world, whether it comes to reskinning traps and obstacles, to monsters and NPCs and that kind of thing. And of course, World Building Wednesday, we talked about player options and placing magic where there isn't some and describing it. Well, today is a little bit strange because exploration, in my particular opinion, has been a bit underserved in tabletop games. And now when we come to reskinning, it's like, well, now we're adding another layer, a little complicated layer. So in many of our games, we're going to use Dungeons and Dragons as our base, but it really doesn't matter what role-playing game you have. The game is going to have some element of being able to allow you to describe the environment, right? A natural environment, rain, fog, muddy hills, ocean waves, jungles, the deep cold with the tundra or blizzards and such. And then we have ourselves some man-made locations, sewer systems, cities, rooftops, foundries and factories, those kind of things. But if you don't have enough material to describe some of these places, maybe we might have to reskin some of them. So in the beginning here, and we're going to get very exotic. I have a couple ideas that just came off the top of my head, but let's talk about some mundane, very simple, very common environments that you might want to insert into your game, and how we can use the idea of reskinning to make something come about. Okay, let's take one of the most classic. Let's take a trap. Let's take one of the most classic traps in the world, and that's a pit trap. It is the classic light blue graph paper map with the little square and the X over it, and the players are going through the graph paper dungeon. And back in the day, they were 10-foot squares, not 5-foot squares, and the players may walk over something, and it might be described as stepping on a plate, or they have to roll a D6 and they only have a 1 in 6 chance of spotting a trap, or whatever the case may be, for you OSR individuals out there. And spotting those traps might be quite difficult. Now, we know what that is, right? Maybe there's a lever or something, or there's some sort of maybe stepping stone, and the trap falls away. Okay, 5th edition, you make a DC check, you make a dex save to see if you fall in. All right, pretty classic, right? But a little yawnable. We've seen it before. You know, for the most part, maybe we're just hesitant to use it, right? It's kind of a gotcha trap. But we can, and mind you, this is a very common thing. But pit traps are everywhere around us all the time. Um, you know, there are pits out in nature. You can go through a jungle and maybe there literally is a depression in the ground. Just happens to naturally form, and you step over the foliage and you fall into it. Maybe you're in a subterranean realm and you're using your instincts, or maybe a guide or some type of magic item that's leading you further deeper into a place known as the Underdark. And these are natural caverns and such, and just maybe you fail to realize that there's some loose stones and you may slip into a crevice that's beneath you. Or let's say there is you're going through the desert and you're going up and down sand dunes, and the sand just seems to extend forever, and you look over the horizon and there are heat waves distorting the light that's coming off of the horizon. It just looks like, you crest a rise and you see nothing but salt flats, and everyone's looking at each other like, I can't believe this is going on. And then all of a sudden someone's foot slips and you slip down into some sand, and it almost acts as a not even quicksand, but like a funnel, and you slip into the reskinned pit trap, right? Yeah. Rickard says, what? Natural traps in the Underdark? Preposterous. Now, yeah, slipping, Dead Man says, slipping on some loose pebbles. Exactly. Even in our urban environments, okay, you could have a, a um, a manhole cover could have been moved. There is a construction site and someone's dug a pit. You're running through a cemetery and there has been a hole dug out for the purposes of laying down some people that have suffered from a plague or something. Hitting a section of ice and yep, absolutely slipping through ice into a frozen lake or something. All those things are possible in our to encounter them in a natural, or let's say less sinister manner for a pit trap. A reverse pit trap, slightly too high curve. I've been victim of those plenty of times. I don't know how many times I've tripped up steps, it's a bizarre thing to think about, but yeah. And so, okay, so we have pit traps and we can reskin them. Of course, we're not going to, it would behoove us not to describe them as, hey, make a roll to see if you avoid the reskinned pit trap that I just set in front of you. You're not going to describe it that way. You're going to describe it as the natural environment. And when I say natural, natural would be the mundane environment around you. In a city, and the PCs are running away from, they've stolen the important MacGuffin out of the king's chambers, and the king has called for his guards, and the PCs are running across rooftops. And oh, what is that? An abandoned building with loose slates, and it's possible their body weight could make them fall through the rooftop. Oh, that's a pit trap. Again, maybe they're running across. There's an elven village where they've built everything into the trees, and they have catwalks and rope bridges, and they're running across the yet another catwalk, and someone loses their footing, and it's possible for them to fall through the planks, and pit trap. Reskinning is an art unto itself. Yeah, Atari's Pitfall. I think you're pulling out some old school Atari Pitfall. The entire game was about avoiding those things. And as a matter of fact, if we advance during, let's say we take video games, for example, you go past Pitfall. Of course, we have Lara Croft, right? And all the things involved in that, where it takes the environment to the extreme, where there's running, jumping, climbing, swinging across things, right? And so using the idea of, say, even our virtual tabletop, reskinning something that you're like, hey, well, I want to put, I love to use traps in my world, and I would love to put traps in front of the PCs to get them to think about what they're doing, but I really don't want to. I don't want to use them as gotchas. Well, the possibility is that a section of the natural world may have these hazards around, and again, you're not going to run out of them. But also remember, even if the PCs spot a trap, right? It's not a bad thing for you as a dungeon master because it still exists. The PCs could use that to their advantage. Let's say there's a rampaging herd of bison or something that's going to trample the PCs if they stand in their way. Maybe jumping down into the pit or a depression is a great way for them to save themselves. Or maybe there's a mindless creature that's going after them. Maybe one of the halfling is like, uh-oh, this bison's about to headbutt me or something. Is it possible I could stand in front of the pit, and then when it comes to charge at me, I'm just going to duck down and have it fall into the pit itself or something? The answer to that would be, yeah, why not? Maybe there's some kind of steam-powered machine that's going after the PCs, and the PCs use the pit to allow, get the wheels stuck, or the rolling gnomish steam-powered machine rolls along the ground, and the front wheels or crawling legs or something get stuck into the pit trap or whatever. A PC, this is definitely going to happen. PCs trick goblinoids to fall in a pit trap. Someone goes, I'm going to set the whole thing on fire. Of course, and that's what the environment is specifically used for, to use and abuse it. And reskinning what we think of as pretty common, pretty mundane. Matter of fact, even I dare say even boring, we reskin them and then we can still use them no matter where they go. Rickard says, not a pit trap, but stay with me. A stair where every step is a different height combined with arrow traps and saw blades. Yeah. You might, yes. You kind of dangerous, especially if those saw blades are like ankle height, and the arrows are about head height, depending on which step you step on. And one of the problems, I think one of the issues, our gnomish goblin throwing helicopter flying into sturge type bugs of large size. Yeah, absolutely. We even reskinned the pit trap as if you're floating through the astral realm, using your intellect to move yourself along. Ooh, my audio went out. Testing. Well, please somebody let me know if my audio is good, because I think I was talking to myself. Have them go off at a set tempo so the danger is making it up the stairs. Yeah. Well, I think one of the issues people have with traps in general is that it can be difficult to rationalize. Thank you very much. It can be difficult to rationalize why a trap is where it is. And although we love ourselves some Indiana Jones, it can, not everything or not every place is a crypt, set to, or a Sararak, the demi-lich, set to make a dungeon filled with traps. Yeah, my microphone is on, but I'm not sure. Okay, thank you. Thank you. So it can be difficult to rationalize why there are these dangers, arrows and saw blades and spikes and gear-powered walls about to crush you. And it can be difficult to describe or even realize why it's there. It's like, well, why would there be hobgoblins living down in these caves behind all of these traps? Aren't they just in as much danger of being caught in these traps as, the PCs? Yeah. Rickard says, so instead of a climbing challenge, use the same mechanics, but for a stair. And this is where I'm going with reskinning, right? If you take many of these traps and completely remove a relationship as to how we interact with them. Essentially, it is a challenge and a result of that challenge. It is a dex or maybe an acrobatics check or save that which results in suffering some kind of harm or setback of whatever that setback may be. It might be hit point damage, it may be stunning, it could be poisoning, it could be combinations of all those, restraining or anything. So then again, now we can reskin anything, because you can have an intelligence challenge to navigate a maze, right? You can have a wisdom check, perception challenge to notice exactly where to step on a floor so that you do not activate a certain trap. You can have a constitution challenge to hold your breath when navigating the bottom layer of a flooded keep, and you're swimming through hallways that once housed vast armies and servants and such. We can take any of our statistics in our game and make that the focal point of the challenge. Maybe someone has to balance across a rope or a narrow ledge or something, and the end result could be falling or walking. I once described this as having the undead zombies and skeletons trapped literally behind bars in a dungeon, and you must walk a narrow path between the arms of the hungry dead between them. And sure, you could move off of the narrow path, but your arms and legs and face are going to be grabbed by these undead arms reaching out towards you. So you might need to stay on a very narrow path, i.e. using maybe a dexterity or save or check or something so that you do not fall side to side. And you guys know that I bring this up all the time. Some people complain that the shove action, the in Dungeons and Dragons, you can forego hurting someone by knocking them down or pushing them 5 feet. And some people say, well, knocking someone prone or pushing them 5 feet is useless. And I agree in a vacuum. But where are you pushing this person? That's it. What part of the environment are you pushing them? Are you pushing them 5 feet over into a pit trap, into that hole in the rooftop of the abandoned building? Are you pushing them into the vat of boiling ore in the dwarven foundry that's bubbling behind them? Are you pushing them into a river of lava or a natural hot spring of acid or something? James Lindell says, or even the strength check to get the portcullis or lifting gates in the way, but it has an oopsie of some kind, like getting squished, for example. Exactly. PC's run down hallway. Portcullis is in the way. What happens? Okay, let's make a strength check. Hey, let's all work together to lift the portcullis, the lowered gate up in the air. Uh-oh, there's something coming after us. All right, let's drop the gate so the thing can't come after us. All those things. Oh, maybe the hallway is flooding, and in order to get down the rest of the hallway, instead of being trapped against the iron grate, and we've seen this in much of our many movies and television shows, we've got to open up the gate in order for us to go. Otherwise, we'll be trapped down there and we're going to drown. Someone comes out of nowhere. Hi, I'm here to help you. Boom, they lift up the grate and they escape. So let's go with some more traps and yes, I'm sticking with traps, but we're going to get a little bit more exotic. So we have traps like the pit trap. We have the collapsing ceiling trap, or maybe falling net trap. Those kind of things. Again, we can reskin a lot of those. We go down into the Underdark. So our PCs go down into the Underdark, and they're like, you know what? We're watching our step. We're going to make sure none of us falls into any hidden alcove or chamber or crevice or something. Okay, well, one of the dwarf in the party looks up at the ceiling and goes, we need to be careful because I'm seeing dust and little pebbles fall from the ceiling, i.e. collapsing ceiling trap. Is it Was it purposefully built that way? No, but it could be a simple part of the environment. Um, the PCs, the PCs doing their best impression of any number of the Assassin's League games. They're roof running, they're jumping, they're parkouring and free running their way across the rooftops, and they get to the section of the city that's downtrodden. It's the bottoms, and there are these abandoned buildings and such. Yes, could they fall through a ceiling and it's a pit trap? Yes. Also, maybe after they fall through the ceiling, maybe the ceiling becomes that possibility of the collapsing ceiling trap, right? And um, Rickard says, considering that getting the full plate knight on the ground was a vital tactic in real life, I think that people are more complaining that it is a totally useless tactic in D&D. Yes, I do agree that on it does not operate in the manner in which our common sense says it should. Although you could make the claim that if someone has two combat actions, one combat action could be to knock the person down, and then the other combat action would be to take your sword and stab them, because now that they're prone, you could stab them. And I get it. It's more effective to hit someone twice than it is to knock them down once and then hit them once, right? But I get it. Yeah, that would work if hit points work differently. Yeah. And mind you, there's nothing stopping us from making that a possibility, right? There's nothing stopping us from going, oh, guess what? If you're wearing heavy armor, remember that disadvantage you get on stealth checks? We're going to add that to whatever. Your next combat action if you fall down. I mean, you can house rule the hell out of it if you want to. I would play that if someone did that. Yeah. Now again, my contention is that we do have rules for at least the environment itself, whether you're using layers or obstacles and things of that nature, and combining that with placing them in the way of our combat, in my opinion, makes things far more dynamic, because now you have to now you have to balance your actions in what you're doing. So, for example, PCs go across a river, and it's a raging river. PCs are wading across a sideway pit trap, climbing a wall, and it collapses in. Hey, we made a pit trap going through the astral plane, and a black hole opens up and swallows you up because you missed the telltale signs of these black portals, wormholes opening up and swallowing you in. Yeah, I mean, sure. Now of course, we're being rather facetious here, talk about just about pit traps, but you can take anything. For example, let's take a spell like Gust of Wind, 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons, or even Thunder Wave. We could even take a Thunder Wave spell or something, something that pushes people. And you've got the Gust of Wind going, and you go, well, what can I use that for? Well, we can still use wind as if it's, yep, push someone off a high balcony, push someone off a rope bridge. We love ourselves some woodland folk putting their homes up in trees, but pretty terrible if you. How effective is it? Is it more effective to hit what's something that can climb up in a tree? Let's say you've reskinned some bugbears, and they are climbing up into the trees. Maybe you've even reskinned them and given them a climbing trait or something, right? Climbing movement trait, and they're climbing up into the trees, and the woodland elves need your help, and you're defending them, and you're first or second level characters, and it would take you 3 hits to take the bugbear down. Okay, if you hit this thing 3 times, on average, you'll probably kill it. But then somebody else comes along and says, what if I kick him in the chest and knock him 60 feet down to the ground? Maybe that might be more effective than stabbing it, right? So sometimes using the environment might make you more effective, if not more deadly, especially if you hit something and it falls and now it has to climb its way back up. So sure, maybe it doesn't die, but now it has to climb its way back up. It's now a victim because now you're above it. It's down below you. If it has to come and climb its way back up to try to grab at you again, now you've got some free shots in, right? I.e., the environment just made your attack more effective than going, I hit it again with my sword. Um, I think an upside down pit trap is a cave fisher. Yeah, yeah. Ooh, bang, cave fishers. Yeah, yep. And remember, most of the things that we encounter in the game by themselves are dangerous, but sometimes their danger comes about a monkey bear. Yeah. So sometimes their danger comes about because of where they're located. What is it about bears being mutated into something else? Owl bears, maybe make monkey bears, shark bears. What the hell? So a cave fisher isn't just dangerous because it fit. I was about to say it fishes in caves. It extends its, I don't know, is it a is it some sort of tongue or goo or whatever the case may be? It sits up at the top of a ledge and draws the PC up towards it, right? But we're also ignoring the fact of, let's say it can extend its tendril down 30 feet or something, right? If you cut the tendril and release yourself, you're going to fall 30 feet, or at least as far, you're going to fall as far as it drew the armored PC up into the air before it starts to munch on him. Okay, so the wizard who's going, hey, can I shoot it with my burning hands or acid arrow and release my friend? And you're thinking, well, yeah, you can, but there's a good chance he's going to fall, right? There's the I there's a height function involved in that, and what the heck? Seriously though, for traps and such, take inspiration from platformers, especially Metroidvania ones. I have no idea what that reference is, but wow. You're gonna have to pop something, a link or something like that into the Discord, man. He says in that example, I think the cave fisher has changed from an upside down pit trap to a delayed pit trap. Yeah. Hmm. Hmm. But again, it's not. Oh, the Metroid. Okay. All right. My pop culture reference just faded on me. But it's another example is that someone can look at the statistics of a shark and go, wow, that's not very, my seventh level character could take out a shark. And you're going, sure, if the shark maybe had legs and was attacking you on the ground. But if you're in the deep ocean, the added danger is that you have to swim and you may drown, right? The added danger is you can't swim in heavy armor, or you really shouldn't be able to swim in heavy armor, although I believe there are no rules against it. And if you drop your weapon, it will sink to the, hundreds or thousands of meters down into the ocean floor if you somehow, dropped your axe or sword or something. Um, oh, a style of video game that is a combination of Metroid and Castlevania. Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of video games that use environmental challenges that we absolutely can steal from. Various iterations of Zelda are examples of various iterations of anything in the Lara Croft series, or um, is it The Last of Us? No. Uncharted, Assassin's Creed, those kind of things. Now, when it comes to we've hit the halfway mark, so we have to go exotic. We have got to go exotic. One of the things that really tugged at our heartstrings, and I think many of us want to have return to tabletop gaming. Yeah. Lindell says, Zelda and the crazy things you have to do or find to find secret doors. Yeah, don't be afraid to use ideas from other mediums. Hell yeah, and even the crazy things. Okay, we're talking about the third pillar of exploration, and I understand exploration can be a very archaeological kind of thing. Oh, I found runes or glyphs or something written on the wall, and it gives me a clue as to who lived here. But the other thing could be maybe having to move large stone blocks around a room to finally reveal a secret door, but revealing the secret door means you had to move the stone block to a certain area, which then triggers something else. And so maybe these usually traps are one and done, right? Either you fall into the pit trap or you don't. But in Xanathar's guide, and something that I embrace wholeheartedly, is that these things do not have to disappear once they are quote unquote activated, right? Walking across a frozen lake, there's still the opportunity for me to cause the pain. There's still the danger of falling through thin ice, falling to your drowning, freezing death, right? If you're going across rooftops in an abandoned section of the city, there's still the chance that you may fall through yet another section of rooftop. If you're going into the Underdark, there's still the chance that you may fall into a deep crevice or knock over boulders or something. And yeah, opportunity. Maybe I revealed something about my GM style. Now, but again, now let's talk about, we've talked about traps, we talked a little bit about obstacles, we can talk about lairs. In the game, they do have creatures that have lair actions. A red dragon has a lair action. Its lair is in a volcano. A black dragon has its lair deep in a swamp, and so on and so forth. But again, we talked about, well, why not just remove the creature out of the lair and put whatever creature you want into that lair? Or better yet, remove the creature entirely and then just have those lair actions happen in a dangerous part of that world. And it just happens naturally for good or bad, both to the PCs and the NPCs, right? But also, if we're going to put pit traps around, maybe those natural pit traps, those natural rocks falling out of the ceiling, the using the word natural loosely, that there's a bad part of the seedy, shadowy part of the city where there's like thugs and cutthroats and such. And they use the idea that there are these abandoned houses and they attack people who just happen to wander into those areas. So the natural obstacles in that region could be used by your enemies to help facilitate them. We know kobolds. Kobolds are notorious for making traps. Sometimes we'll insert goblins as well for using things, whether they're, pushing barrels of acid on top of people or riding on the back of giant spiders to entrap individuals and such. But maybe there's something natural. Maybe there's natural pit traps or sinkholes in the desert or something that the desert Tuscan raiders that have been reskinned from orcs travel throughout the desert riding on the back of giant scorpions, and they know if they chase their prey into this area, they'll be sucked down into one of these little sinkholes and surround them, holding out their scimitars and poisoned spears or something, right? These are things that, using context and reskinning things. Yeah, kobolds make the traps, goblins steal the ideas and try to use and try. Yeah, the word is try, right? So we can layer all of these things together. Maybe there's just a natural party environment, but something intelligent is using that to their advantage, which mankind has done that for a long time. So it's possible that a layer may have been left and evacuated by, let's say, the black dragon that's moved on, and other creatures have moved into that region and are taking advantage. And there's nothing to say that the lair itself is air quotes under the control of the creature. it is just happening on its own. And so I'm a very big proponent of that. So let's go to let's get a little bit exotic, right? um, Rickard says, I now imagine a kobold adventuring party trying to recover the stolen trap designs from the goblins. That's cool. That is a nice one. Oh man, high level kobold party trying to create and discover their own traps and such. Oh, now it's also a possibility that we want to we would love the return of one of the settings that really has captured people's hearts, and that is planescape. It is the idea of going to other planes, other dimensions, bizarre places where the rules of reality do not work anymore. Again, we have ourselves a whole host of spells. We have ourselves a whole host of monsters. We have ourselves a whole host of layers and traps, and we can reskin them to become part of our world. Let me give you an example. There's an old movie, I believe it's from either the late 60s, early 70s, called Fantastic Voyage. And a group of scientists is inside of a high-tech submersible. And they have to go on a mission to, of all things, cure a brain aneurysm inside of a scientist that must help them do something. I don't even remember what the point was. But, and this strangely enough, this movie still stands up to today. What happens is they are shrunk down by a machine, inserted into fluid inside of a needle, and that needle is injected into this individual, and they must go through this person's body to destroy, I believe it was a brain tumor of some sort inside of this individual, right? And Inner Space, yep, Infinite Role Places. Oh my God, you remember Inner Space? The same thing. So now, mind you, we would love, that was a strange noise. We would love to have ourselves, an adventure inside of the interior body of ourselves, of a giant, not even gargantuan, but maybe a living creature that's the size of a city or a continent or an entire plane of existence. So what do we have inside of our body? Well, we've got our bloodstream. Okay, so you can add in maybe some uh, red blood cells. That's strange. Am I coming through the Discord? It looks like RTC disconnected. Strange. Anyway, Inner Space was the first remake of the movie. Yeah. Oh yeah. Heck yeah. There's the. I'm getting something strange sounds. All right. So sorry about that, guys. Perfect. Thank you very much. Rilvis, thank you very much for that. So the PCs go into another plane of existence, and literally this other plane of existence is inside of something related to the human body. So we've got bloodstreams, and we have something maybe taking, like, red blood cells taking very important oxygen from one place to another. Could that taking oxygen from one place to another, be some sort of creature that can drain the very oxygen out of your lungs? Sure. And then, of course, the PCs are invaders into the bloodstream. What is that? Well, they're white blood cells. Could we make white blood cells are the police and guards and such? Of course. If you're oh, no problem. You are absolutely invited. Just listen in, have some fun listening in. So the white blood cells could be reskinned as anything. We have a number of oozes we can use if we don't want to make them sentient. Although there's nothing wrong with a sentient ooze, right? But we can reskin the white blood cells as maybe an ooze going through the body. Let's say they lose track of going towards the brain to get rid of the tumor. We have the heart, right? And the heart is beating and is pumping blood and it's sucking in and such. Who's saying that that can't be an obstacle? A reskinned gust of wind or a reskinned thunder wave. And yeah, the lymphatic system, of course. And who's to say that the PCs have to time it so that they don't get crushed by the valves as they open and close in the heart, as they get sucked closer and closer towards the valves, and they're trying to swim or move against the current that's being drawn in. And if they fail their whatever athletics check or whatever you're using, right, as a method to challenge themselves, that they have to slip through the valve at a particular time, i.e., making a save or making a skill check or something like that. Oh, Tesla Ranger going way back. The Dralicites, I love the Dralicites. The sentient ooze equals the Dralicites from Star Frontiers. What a great game! Oh man, that was a short-lived sci-fi game. And I know there's people who still love that thing. Yes, if for those who would love to play a multi-armed amoeboid creature, go play Star Frontiers. The Dralicites are cool. I had Starfinder but never played it. Yeah, it's unfortunate. So and of course, when we're thinking about the human body, we've got ourselves the bladder, we've got the stomach filled with acid. We have any number of systems inside the body, whether it's bone. Do you want to describe the bone? Oh, Star Frontiers, yeah. I hear you. Excuse me. Wow. There's do we want to make the bone a solid surface, or do we want to make it permeable with tight holes that the PCs have to sneak into and slip through into a tight space, i.e. a tight space, a narrow space for players to go into? Are there rules for that? Yes, there are actual rules for fitting into a tight space if you find them in your Dungeon Master's Guide or in the SRD or something. Lymphatic system is a cave system. Yep, I hear you. Absolutely. Again, we can reskin what already exists into other things. When you go into the brain and there's the neurological action is happening in the brain, is it possible that you could be attacked by bolts of lightning or shocking grasp, or what other kinds of creatures or traps or something that are around? Remember we talked about traps are basically just it's a challenge and a failure of that challenge causing a result, right? So is it an intelligence check to time not being zapped by the electrical charges flowing by? And if you are affected by it, you become stunned, as opposed to, say, a pit trap, making a dex check not to fall and suffer harm, right? It's based on our embracing our narrative in terms of what it means, right? So, and that's just one form of exotic, bizarre, strange otherworldliness that we can use our rules in the game to reframe what it is that we are encountering. We remove the brain, the arms and legs, and the mobility of many creatures, and they can become obstacles themselves. An ooze does not necessarily have to move around and attack people. An ooze could be literally just an underdark pit of acid or something, or it could be inside of a barrel held by an alchemist in their strange, bizarre tubed factory or something, concocting all of these strange alchemical formula. And you're sneaking into this alchemist's vast laboratory, and the PCs must go sneak past the waste that's spilling out of the factory, and you're thinking, oh man, I really don't have a list of chemicals. I wish I had a list of them. Aha, I'll reskin some gray ooze and ochre jellies and yellow musk and so on and so forth, right? Into obstacle things that are around the PCs. Rilva says parasites are some of the scariest creatures when you see them up close. You know what? As a matter of fact, if you despite the fact that we can't see them under a microscope, they look pretty horrible, right? Where you talk about the parasites, and so some parasites can live inside of the human body for not just weeks, but months and even years. There's a pretty nasty one that's an eye worm, that literally sits under the thin membrane of the human eye. And there's some YouTube videos of doctors pulling these long worms out of the optical nerve of people's eyes. Yeah, microbes are terrifying under magnification. And again, we have ourselves pictures of microbes, and we also stuck for making new creatures, right? And we can reskin the things that we already have. So to surprise, to have something new in your game, again, let's go to Fantasy Grounds. It's a virtual tabletop, right? You can import pictures, so you can import pictures of these nasty microbes and parasites. We have creatures, and we can reskin them, so you can just again erase the serial numbers, just wipe out the name it whatever you want, and you have the creature's abilities. And we can say, you know what, this microbe 30 feet long would be very much like a cave fisher. Yeah, that's what I'll do. Journeyman, hey, what's going on there, guys? Rickard says unlocking different portions that is being guarded by antivirus software, subroutines they can query as NPCs to try and make their way into the core to kill or repair the AI. Ooh, so you guys went okay. I'm feeling you. The AI could also be the brain of one of the player's gods. All right, listen. Future Friday is tomorrow. So, and that's exactly where I was going to go with it. Going into a, the PCs becoming digital software, and who's to say even in your medieval game, right? You don't you're giving the PCs clues as to what's going on, but they don't realize that they're Dungeons and Dragons characters have literally gone into a plane of existence that's nothing but a the data core of some ancient god, that's some high tech god or something like that. I mean, for those who don't know, Dungeons and Dragons has always incorporated technology. As a matter of fact, and I'm going to see if any of you guys can find this on the interwebs. And if you can find a picture of this, please upload it. There is an adventure, an old adventure from the mid 80s, in featuring Baba Yaga's hut. And there's also an adventure, this is a second one. There's also an adventure featuring Loth and the Queen of the Demon Webs. I believe it's called Demon Web Pits. And if you take a look at either of those two adventures, you will see a high-tech device literally inside of an adventure, a medieval game. As a matter of fact, inside of the Demon Web Pits, if I'm not mistaken, Loth has herself an M1 Abrams tank inside of her mechanical spider. I want to see if any of you guys can find that. Rickard says, you're just simulations of an AI that got curious about how a fantasy world would really work. Can we get a little meta on top inside of our meta? That's awesome. That is great. That is excellent. Oh man. Rilva says, then also jump in the future and campaign in cybernetic humanoids or creatures. Then you have biotech. We can even reskin. Sometimes when it comes to reskinning, you don't need much more than words, because we are so brilliant that we fill in the gaps of the meaning of those words. Here's what I mean, right? We understand warlock, cleric, wizard, fighter, barbarian, okay? But if you really wanted to reskin them, and there is an RPG out there called Esper Genesis. You could take every single character class, every single character option. You could take many of your creatures, You can take all of your basic equipment and reskin it. So, could you reskin a longsword as a mono vibratory blade? Yes, you can. Could you reskin plate mail armor as infantry combat armor or Kevlar leather armor as Kevlar? Could you reskin a fighter as a uh, gun-toting mercenary or something? Of course. Deadman says, or Eclipse Phase, Bioware and Cyberware are easy to get there. Absolutely. Love ourselves some Eclipse Phase, man. Oh man. Rilva says that's why great books are usually far better than any movie because of the way we fill in with our imaginations. And that's usually why like 99% of the time when they take a book and turn it into a movie, most people say, "Oh, the book was better." Well, the book was better because your imagination filled in the gaps far more than a movie someone else ever could inside of your own imagination, right? Yeah, the meta has meta. Mind blown. Hashtag mind blown. Yeah. Um, oh, Dead Man says too many results for Baba Yaga's hut. Yeah, you would have to narrow it down to the adventure series. And when the PCs go inside of Baba Yaga's hut, mind you, it's a little small hut that you go inside and it's this extra dimensional space and it's got multiple layers. And inside of Baba Yaga's hut, you will see an M1 Abrams tank seen from above on the graph paper. There it is. There it is. The dancing hut. That's it. Yeah. There it is. That's the one. It's Baba Yaga's hut. Through some course of events, the legs sit down, the hut sits down, you enter inside of it, and it's this entire an entire extra dimensional space. Again, breaking the rules, right? We can break the rules of our own world using extra dimensional spaces and time travel and PCs becoming digital information, and we have a host of knowledge in front of us. All we need to do is just, reskin, wipe off the serial numbers and change what it is. We can change barbarian into some. Oh, Dead Man says Tron. Absolutely. Oh man, I love some classic Tron. That's again. Here we are with. We can snatch up a ton of our intellectual property, some things that we're having fun with, and figure out a way to say, you know what, if we just replace one word with another word, if we just replace the statistics of this one creature with this other creature, we can create something that's extremely dynamic. And of course, since today is Third Pillar Thursday, it's the third pillar of exploration, discovering things in the world. I make the contention that the environment should be used and abused. We can very much create situations where it's like a Sophie's choice kind of thing. So, for example, to get to a secret door, it might be necessary to say, remove a stone that might flood the chamber, right? And flooding the chamber is dangerous unto itself. But then again, by flooding the chamber, maybe it releases we understand that the pressure of the water will release the secret chamber that's at the bottom of a door inside of this room. So creating a danger, creating an obstacle that opens up a pathway of discovery by the players. And so when the players go into a new realm, let's say the world of Tron, right? We follow along the pathway of the main character who's pulled into this other world. And when that character is pulled into the other world, they're uncovering how this world works. They uncover that there's this disc on their back that they can use as Dayglow Frisbee disc, right? That's not only a disc on their back, but also kind of represents their digital information, their soul, and gaining the skill to throw this thing and have it return to their hand. And then they're thrown into another game and learning the rules of the light cycles, and that the light cycles move only in it only moves in 90-degree turns, and how the hell do these light cycles move in 90-degree turns? Well, I don't know. Um, um, and the red or blue to show their stance with things. Um, oh yes, the idea that they're colors. If they're blue, they're on the good side of things, or at least neutral. But if they turn red, they are victims. They are in league with the enemy or something. And sure, um, yeah, I agree with you, Fat Ninja. It says, man, the conversation in the YouTube and Discord chat is extra top notch today. Hashtag level up. Yeah, I love the interaction, guys. Oh, well, that happens when you're surrounded by people smarter than that happens to me when I'm surrounded by people smarter than myself. Yeah, I absolutely love it, man. The idea that the PCs discover that when they go to this other realm, that when the PCs are like, why am I the color blue? And why is that guard red? And then the guard comes and knocks him on the head and says, you will report to the I don't know, the Overwatch, the master controller, or whatever the case may be. And it's like, hey, dude, what the hell's going on? And maybe one of the NPCs they meet is blue. And then the next time they meet that NPC, he's red. And the he's like, oh, he's a turncoat. I get it now. Oh, yeah, that's right. I get it. That makes a lot of sense. Give sometimes our clues don't have to be super hidden. Sometimes it can just be a really cool quirk, like, oh, that's what that is. That's cool. And lastly, I know this applies to Monster Monday. I know this applies to it, but we can even something that I love, and I kind of played with this yesterday about the Russian stacking dolls. The idea that you can make BFF creatures and combine them together is another thing that we can use to enhance the things that we are enhance the things that are part of our world. So goblins riding on the back of bats. The kobolds riding in riding on, I don't know, pterodactyls or something, undead bodies filled with poisonous snakes or swarms of insects. I brought up the giant spider with its little spider babies hanging on its back, stuck. Those nesting dolls. Yeah, you can even do things like that by reskinning or repurposing some of the adversaries, some of your creatures or something in the world, because within the context they just stack with each other. Just give me 2 seconds here, babe.
I
love you.
Great day,
Yeah.
okay?
All right, and I'll stop off at Lowe's.
Okay, call me. You get off the phone if you have a second.
Yeah, I do.
On your way to work, call me at work.
Okay.
Love you.
All right, love you, babe. Bye. Sorry, guys. That is my beloved significant other when we come to our our time. Oh, Deadman says, scroll up and you'll see the link to the wiki about them. Oh, the nesting. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Those nesting dolls. Rilvis says, isn't a great PC or NPC like the layers of a nesting doll? I guess you could say. I guess you could say that. But there is the idea of like, ooh, your beloved Loth. Yeah. There is the idea of the creature inside of the creature, the troll that splits open and becomes the ooze. There is the idea of I don't know, the Voltron creature, right? The I'll form the head. You hit the creature and you shatter it and it becomes smaller versions of itself, or a golem, and a golem that has something on the inside of it, like, or what is it? An animated armor and a skeleton inside of the animated armor. I even did this with a it was a cursed individual that lived in a castle, and each part of he became immortal, but each part of his body was different. So his skeleton was one creature, his muscle structure, I think, was a choker, his skin was a cloaker, the brain was an intellect devourer, his internal organs was a constrictor snake.
and his blood was some kind of ooze. And I mean, you can have a ton. You could have fun with using those elements by stacking and reskinning things and stacking them on top of each other. Rilla says, yeah, it can be physical, emotionally, spiritually things inside of things. And again, the idea we maybe we can go back to uh, the idea of the PCs being downloaded inside of the AI system, the PCs being shrunk down inside of, well, they don't have to be shrunk down, but inside of the internal systems inside of a human body, you know, the Frankenstein's monsters made of other monsters, right? The idea that maybe the PC's challenge is to go inside of the head of a depressed king. And if the king is just brought out of his funk, I'm being rather crude in my descriptions of the true mental affliction of depression, but maybe the PCs find out that a king has been manipulated by a fiend, and his mind has been controlled, and the PCs must go inside of their brain because such powerful mind control has been exerted by this otherworldly fiend that the PCs must go into his the nightmares of this king. And so the PCs become psychic entities of themselves, go into the nightmare realm of this king. And again, now we get a chance to reskin and reflavor this nightmarish realm of this important king that is a symbol of their people. And this nightmarish realm might be what this king fears would happen to his kingdom. And it's happening in his mind over and over and over again, this vast apocalypse. And it could literally be the PCs must fall asleep and go into a dream realm, you know? Deadman says the constructed skeleton creature that is constructed of demi-liches. Okay. Oh no, wait a minute. You can't kill off your PCs with hey, it's made out of demi-liches. That's pretty nasty. But sometimes again with the reskin thing, and I know we've passed the hour mark, so we're going to power down here a little bit. But again with the reskin thing, let's say we love ourselves some Cthulhuoid, right? Mind flayers, illithids, intellect devourers, you know, psychic creatures from elder gods. But yeah, I'm not sure. Wait, now it's saying in the Discord that I'm connecting. Don't know what's going on. Maybe I will. I'll relink it. So anyway, let me end on this point. Sometimes you may not have the elements you think you have to develop your world, right? Hey, I want little eyeballs floating around, or little tentacled creatures that look like floating squids or octopi that spy on residents of this village. But I don't have that in my game. I wonder if I can use something else. And the simple answer to that is yes. Reskin something and make it fit into now I'm disconnected again. Oh well. All right, guys. I want to thank you very much for joining in. I think now I'm connected. Okay. I want to thank you guys very much for being part of RPG with DPJ and just joining in, sharing some digital pizza at the table. If you guys are trying to figure out like, who the hell is this dude? Hit some of the links, read the stuff down below in the foundation. You're going to find some nuts and bolts down there, and find out what I do, who I am, what I'm part of. And find out the larger community of the people that I associate with. So, guys, thank you very much. Tomorrow is Future Friday. We will reskin our modern to sci-fi settings, and kind of related to, like, you know, is there any relationship to Dungeons and Dragons? Well, yeah. And does that relate to like Eclipse Phase, Stars Without Number, Coriolis, Traveler, Starfinder, Star Frontiers, Star Trek, and a host of other RPGs? Yeah, I think it will. So, guys, I'll see you tomorrow. All right, now.